He walked the grounds twice, wearing an earpiece, filming the agents who were planning the president's security. Today, the Justice Department charged him with a federal gun crime that carries up to 10 years in prison, and officials still will not say what he was planning. Fact This News, the extended edition. Wednesday, August 5th. Markets are closed, so we start there. Also this hour. The United States just spent billions defending a currency that is not ours. A recall where the label says morphine in the syringe inside is something else. And later, the number that says the job market downshifted.
Markets first because they are closed and the numbers are final. And today, the market split in half. The Dow closed at a record up 263 points to 54,349, but the S&P 500 fell 0.17% to 7,723, snapping a 4-day winning streak, and the Nasdaq dropped 0.83%. Tech went down, everything else went up. SpaceX fell almost 14% to $108, its first full day of trading after its first ever earnings report, and it is now below its $135 IPO price. AMD fell 7% despite beating. Uber fell 5%, Alphabet 4%. On the other side, Shopify jumped almost 17% on earnings, and Nvidia rose 3.4%, and Nvidia is in the Dow, so that is your record right there. Oil fell a third straight session on the Iran talks. West Texas around $75. Gold closed near $4,300 an ounce. And the strangest thing in global markets right now, the United States and Japan have confirmed a rare joint intervention to buy yen and stop its slide toward 40-year lows. Japan's finance ministry says it ran the coordinated operation with the U.S. Treasury on Friday. Bank of Japan data suggests Tokyo may have sold nearly $59 billion buying yen in New York the day before. And here's the twist that has traders talking. To fund its share, the New York Fed sold euros, not dollars, working through Goldman Sachs and Morgan Stanley. Coordinated interventions are almost always paid for in dollars. The yen had fallen to about 164 per dollar, its weakest since 1986. It has since rebounded near 157. This is the first joint U.S.-Japan operation to buy yen since 1998. Here is our take, briefly, and both sides of it. It is genuinely unusual for the United States to spend to defend another country's currency, and funding it by selling euros is stranger still. Supporters say Washington is stabilizing a key ally and steadying the global economy. Critics, and Fortune called the move weird and unwise, warn it invites markets to question U.S. priorities and sets an awkward precedent. Either way, it is the first move of its kind in a generation. Moving on. One more from the earnings pile. Disney reported fiscal third quarter results today. Adjusted earnings of $2.06 a share against an expected $1.86. Revenue rose 7% to $25.25 billion, which was actually a slight miss. Operating income climbed 21% to $5.6 billion. Parks and cruises rose 10%. The entertainment division's operating income jumped 64%, driven largely by Toy Story 5, which has now passed $1 billion worldwide. Disney shares closed up 3.65%.
Now the story we opened on, and the new detail matters. Janine John Taylor, 38, of Downey, California. Federal prosecutors filed a complaint today charging him with possession of an unregistered short-barreled rifle. That is a felony carrying a statutory maximum of 10 years. And according to the Justice Department, Taylor did not visit Trump National Golf Club in Rancho Palos Verdes once. He visited twice in the days before the president's planned visit. Agents describe a man walking the course wearing an earpiece, filming their security planning. When they stopped him Sunday, deputies found ammunition in his pocket and a loaded pistol, with a round chambered in his vehicle. A search of his home Monday turned up an illegally modified AR platform rifle, body armor, high-capacity magazines, 2 radio signal devices, and notebooks with concerning statements. Taylor pleaded not guilty Tuesday to 4 charges. And we will say this plainly. Officials have not characterized this as an assassination attempt. What is charged so far is a gun crime. to the Strait of Hormuz, where the diplomacy and the shooting are running at the same time. President Trump said today the strait would reopen very soon, or Iran would be hit very hard, and that a deal could come tomorrow or the next day. Qatar says a proposal has been drafted, and Iran is reportedly weighing whether to let European countries clear mines from the waterway. That is the diplomacy. Here is the shooting. Yemen's Iran-aligned Houthi rebels say they hit a Saudi oil tanker off Yanbu. An Indian-flagged vessel was struck off Yemen and sank. All 14 crew rescued. And one number for what 5 months has cost. Sources tell CNN the U.S. military has used nearly 80% of its interceptors for one key missile defense system. Politics, and Michigan has a winner. This morning, with 99% counted, the Associated Press called the Democratic Senate primary for Abdul El-Sayed. 48.5% to 47.5% for Congresswoman Haley Stevens. 1 point. El-Sayed is the progressive, the former Detroit health director. Stevens was backed by party leadership. They spent the race arguing over AI data centers and foreign policy. El-Sayed now faces Republican Mike Rogers in November for a seat that helps decide control of the Senate. Quick break. Brought to you by ResuFresh, RESUFresh.com, code TRIME today.
To the future and a milestone the autonomous vehicle industry has been waiting on. Zoox, the Robotaxi company Amazon bought in 2020, said today that starting August 10th, it will begin charging passengers. It has carried the public for free for about a year. Now it is a business. What unlocked it was federal. Last week, the National Highway Traffic Safety Administration granted Zoox a commercial exemption from 8 federal motor vehicle safety standards. That matters because the vehicle is purpose-built with no steering wheel and no pedals, so it cannot meet rules written for cars that have them. The exemption runs 2 years and covers up to 2,500 vehicles a year. Zoox also runs in San Francisco and Austin, and there the rides stay free.
The recall of the day, and this one is for hospitals, so know the name. Fresenius Kabi is recalling one lot of morphine sulfate injection, USP, in the simplest pre-filled syringe, 2 milligrams per milliliter. Lot 6402820. It is a label mix-up. The package labeled morphine 2 milligrams may actually contain a pre-filled syringe of dilaudid hydromorphone at 0.5 milligrams. Those are not interchangeable. The FDA says using the wrong one has a reasonable probability of causing serious harm, including life-threatening respiratory depression and death. Greatest risk: people who do not take opioids regularly, people with respiratory disease, and children. It's shipped nationwide, and no adverse events have been reported for this lot.
Weather, and there is finally progress in eastern Washington. As of today, the Old Trails and Autumn Lane fires are both 13% contained. The Fairview fire 5%, and fire lines now surround all 3. Officials say evacuation levels could start coming down. The toll so far, roughly 65,000 people evacuated, about 700 structures destroyed. Nationally, a dome of high pressure is expanding east through the Rockies and the central and southern plains, pushing highs into the 90s and hundreds, with dangerous heat spreading east this weekend.
Entertainment. Ted Lasso is back. Season 4 premiered today on Apple TV, 3 years after the show wrapped what everyone assumed was its last season. And mark August 10th, the Michael Jackson biopic Michael hits stars. It grossed $1 billion worldwide this spring, the highest-grossing biopic ever. Sports. An NFL camp is where the news is. Atlanta Falcons pass rusher Jalon Walker Jr. was carted off the practice field with a leg injury, and reports indicate a possible torn ACL. Better news in the same building, running back Bijan Robinson signed an extension. And in Chicago, Bears lineman Darnell Wright signed a deal with the most guaranteed money for an offensive lineman in NFL history.
Your day in review. Wednesday, August 5th in 4-1. The market split. The Dow closed at a record while the S&P and the Nasdaq finished lower, dragged by SpaceX and AMD too. The Justice Department charged the man arrested at Trump's California golf course with possessing an unregistered short-barreled rifle and revealed he had been on the grounds twice. 3. Zoox became the first purpose-built robotaxi cleared to charge for rides, and it starts Monday. And 4. Michigan picked a nominee, Abdul El Sayed, by a single point. And the number of the day, 44,000. That is how many jobs private employers added in July per the ADP National Employment Report out this morning. Economists expected 75,000. June was revised down to 95,000. 44,000 is the smallest gain since January. All of it came from services, while goods producers lost 3,000. Pay for people who stayed put rose 4.4%. Pay for people who switched jobs rose 7%, the biggest jump since August 2025. That is the tell. Fewer jobs created and a real premium for anyone who moves. That's Fact This News. Follow us on X at Fact This News.